So Republicans are speaking out against this president in a way that is certainly noteworthy to the journalistic establishment. Mitt Romney is out there strutting his stuff in an interview with The Atlantic, which is not a friendly newspaper for conservatives. It's a liberal publication, perhaps most famously displaying its liberalism in recent years by hiring and then summarily firing the very excellent writer Kevin Williamson for some old tweets in which he was trying to be a bit provocative on the issue of abortion. That's right, hired him and fired him right away. So The Atlantic is a left-wing journal of opinion or whatever it is, a left-wing magazine. And it does this interview with Mitt Romney, and Mitt Romney makes it clear that he is completely and utterly opposed to President Trump. Then we find out he's kind of a weirdo who has this secret Twitter account, which why not just use your normal Twitter account? It's just such a strange thing to do if you're Mitt Romney. Then you have Chris Wallace over the weekend, who seems to be making more and more of a name for himself by holding this administration to account, by asking questions that I have to say, I haven't seen him. I think his framing of questions is sometimes unfair to the administration, but I haven't seen him ask any questions that were inherently biased or unfair. He hasn't pulled an Anderson Cooper, for example, who at the last debate said that there are these unfounded allegations against Hunter Biden who did nothing wrong. Thanks, Anderson Cooper, editorial writer who pretends to be an objective journalist. But Chris Wallace had said over the weekend that well-connected Republican folks have told him that there's a, quote, 20% chance that the GOP would vote for impeachment. Now, I understand 20% is not particularly high, but 20% is high enough that we have to take seriously the possibility that this could happen. And that means that we have to look at what would folks like Romney and others do in order to make that happen. You see, there's still this enormous group, this enormous class of people out there who thought that they were part of the GOP establishment. And I believe that they would rather have a return to that old status quo than a continuation of 4 more years of Trump. And those people are more powerful and more numerous than I think many of us realize because they tend not to share that publicly. It's true of a lot of Republican members of Congress. Think about the early days after Trump won. There were a lot of people who were very on the fence about Trump who eventually said, fine, we'll concede, we'll go along. We've been worried so much about the deep state. What about the deep GOP? What about those in the Republican Party who would feel that not only are they doing the right and the righteous thing by helping Trump to lose, even if they can't fully remove him from office in the Congress, what about those Republicans who would like to see the president lose? Now is their time. Now is their opportunity. The margin of victory was not that large the last time with Hillary Clinton. The margin of victory will not be that large this time around either, even if Trump runs an excellent campaign. How many deep GOPers, if you will, how many people who are fifth columnists inside the GOP and who are anti-Trump does it really take? How much influence do they have to exert in order to do what they think? I believe Mitt Romney thinks it would be better for the country if Donald Trump were not president and a Democrat were. And it would mean that Mitt Romney and others like him would all of a sudden be in that position again of dominance in their own party, and they could justify all this in their minds by saying, well, at least now all has been restored for a future presidency that will be in keeping with our ideals and our conservative values. It's not just the left and the Democrats we have to worry about. There are insurgents from within our own party. And while they'll do silly things and stupid things like pretending anyone should listen to this guy Walsh or Evan McMullin or any of these other clowns, there are the Mitt Romneys out there too, people of influence and connections and power within the GOP apparatus. Doesn't matter if the Republican base isn't really with them. Would they be willing to make common cause behind the scenes or perhaps out in the open in order to subvert a Trump reelection effort? I think we have to take that possibility very seriously. I think that's a probability. The only question remains as to whether or not they would be successful in that effort to help defeat Trump and put a Democrat in the White House because they think that that would be better for the country because they're the real conservatives. Try to square that one for a moment.